Paranormal or watching, it depends on your platform. Where the darkness has a voice and every stop begins with a question. I, of course, am your humble host, Gabriel Von Graves, and alongside me, as always, Raven Knight. Hello, Raven. How you doing today?
Hello, I'm fabulous.
Good.
That was it. How are you doing?
I'm good. What? So tonight we step once again into the unknown, not to prove, not to convince, but to explore. Because the truth is there are things in the woods we really don't know that we do definitely want to find out about. And the more you look into, the more you begin to realize we're not alone. Before we begin tonight's conversation, I want to take a moment to recognize the team behind the scenes here at Darkwoods Paranormal. We are owned and produced by Unbox Media LLC, producing not only Darkwoods Paranormal, but the Manor Podcast, Aging with Dignity, and commercial media, and several new projects they are working on. I'm very excited for those folks there. And as always, we extend a thank you to Shaker Cigar Bar in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, a place built on good conversation, strong atmosphere, and stories within telling. Please tell Bob Darkwoods Paranormal sent you. Now, very exciting. Tonight's guest is someone who doesn't just investigate the paranormal, she lived it. Erin Hale has been connected to the unexplained for as long as she can remember, with her very first experience occurring just when she was 3 years old. Her earliest memory, what began as a moment, became a lifetime pursuit. With nearly 2 decades of investigation, Erin has dedicated herself to understanding what lies beyond the surface. In 2022, she founded the Tennessee Shadow Chasers, a team driven by curiosity, passion, and relentless need to uncover the truth. I love that. But their work goes well beyond investigations. They seek something deeper: communication, connection, and clarity between the living and whatever may exist beyond. So tonight, we're going to listen, we're going to question, and we're going to explore. Erin, welcome to Darkwoods Paranormal.
Thank
I
you.
am so happy you're here. Tell us about yourself.
Well, I've always been connected to the paranormal. The first experience I ever had was in a house that was haunted. I was 3 years old, and my mother, I thought it was my mother, came into the room. This is way back in the early 80s. We didn't use night lights, okay?
Right?
We weren't allowed night lights.
Right.
So I thought it was my mom walking in the room, and she would come in, sit on the bed, and she would rub my shoulder from side to side because I was a tummy sleeper, and I thought it was my mom. So after a few minutes, 10, 7 minutes, something like that, I'd get sick and tired of it, and I'd ask her to stop, and she wouldn't stop. So I would get up and I'd roll underneath my bed, and I'd sleep under my bed, and she would stop. So it was just the thing, and I thought that was normal. I thought that was my mom. It was not my mom, because when I was 6, when we moved out to a whole other state, I asked her why she didn't come in my bedroom anymore. And she was like, and she looked at my sister, and my sister's 7 years older than me. And at that time, she was like, ew, gross. No, why would I go make her happy? Ew, you know? So, and my brother was like, gross, sibling love. So,
Right.
yeah, so it come to find out, I kind of feel like that's how I just became connected to the paranormal. So it's been my
Wow.
whole life.
It's actually a very interesting story.
Yeah, it's really cool. She was a lady who her husband left her, and she had some children, and they grew up and left, and he left her for his secretary. And so she picked up the bottle, and she never stopped, and she died in
Wow.
Alcoholic alone
Yeah.
and lived there. So yeah, that's her
Oh,
story.
wow.
But she was a really
Wow.
nice lady. And she was nice because we found out because the neighbors that had lived there that my parents became very good friends with, and they found out that way. Yeah.
So,
Wow.
if I may ask, and I love that she was comforting.
hmm
Um, what makes you think, or what do you believe, makes somebody stay in a place?
I think in her case, I think it was the sorrow. She just couldn't let go of the past, and so she was just stuck. But I think some people don't even know that they pass away if they have Alzheimer's or dementia.
Mm.
Do they even know, or if it was something that was so quick and tragic that there was no time to think, there was no thought process. Maybe they're all just left behind in that aspect of not knowing. But then I do think some are scared. I just think that maybe, I don't know if it's necessarily a door, and how Hollywood depicts like this big light and the door and
Yeah.
flowers.
Right.
I don't know if it's like that. I don't know. I've never died, so I don't know. But I'm just saying, I do think that they have an option to not go, and sometimes they're just too scared.
That's
Interesting.
very
We've kind
interesting.
of heard that theory. We've heard that theory before, I think, in some
A
of the
lot.
Oh, yeah.
interviews that we've done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That people just, maybe they're just too scared to go. They're too scared to
Yeah.
cross over. And some investigators that we've talked to have actually, said that they've tried to help spirits cross over.
Mhm.
So, because of that, they
Yeah.
might not know. And you brought a really interesting thing up about like the Alzheimer's and dementia. I never even thought of that. Like, what if they
Yeah.
don't realize that they've even passed on? That's very
Yeah, at
interesting.
Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, the historic South Pittsburgh Hospital in South Pittsburgh, Tennessee, just on the other side of Chattanooga. Um, there's Nellie upstairs on the third floor, and she had Alzheimer's, and she's still there, and from what I've experienced with her, she still believes that she's still there. It's very
Wow.
interesting. Yeah.
To me, that's kind of sad because I would
Yeah.
hope, right, that my soul would supersede my mind. You know,
Yeah, you would
I
hope.
would
Yeah.
hope.
Mhm.
But maybe there's elements that keep people here as well. So why do you think? What do you think are in elements like limestone and river? Do you think it's the same thing, or do you think that's the
I don't
way it
know.
affects
You know,
energy and it kind of keeps
yeah,
it?
this is interesting because crystals and things like that. I didn't really
Yeah.
believe in them at first until I was at a retreat, and there was somebody there with a hearing aid. And as he picked up a stone, he would put it close to his hearing aid, and it would start humming. He'd put it down, and he'd find another stone and pick it up, and it would hum a different frequency, higher, lower, deeper. It was really weird. And so at that moment, I was like, why would a rock or a stone have
Old
anything to
noise.
do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why would it have anything to do with a hearing aid? Because usually, I can
Huh.
understand an electronic would make it do
Right.
that.
Right.
So that's when I started believing. So I don't know. I think there's some elements and things that I don't know because I don't really know what that stuff is all comprised of. But it's something. It is real. I think water is a big conduit as well.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you. I spent some time. I tell the story sometimes. I lived in Minnesota, Minnesota, not
I
Minnesota,
used to
Yeah,
right?
you
say
did it again.
Minnesota.
You did it every time.
Yeah.
We're gonna
I
still
lived
get
on a
tally
houseboat.
every time you do it.
I lived on a houseboat on the Mississippi, and water does have a way of calming. And I do think that the best I've ever slept was on that boat because it does kind of interact with the energies, and I find it to be a very settling energy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Do you
Always
know why
emotional.
water's calming, Gabriel?
What is
Do you
that?
know why? Why they say? Aaron, do
What?
you know this?
I do know why.
Well, do
Okay,
share.
I might
It
be
starts
wrong.
with
I
W.
hope I'm
It
not.
starts with a W.
Yes, because when we are children or babies, we're in the womb, and the womb is actually water.
Yeah.
You're actually in water. So, like, water is actually very calming to people because it reminds them or
Yeah.
brings them back to that
In uterine.
place of peace.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you learned something.
I don't know.
Yeah. Look at that.
Like, he's
I
like,
don't know if I
"Oh,
like that, but that's fine.
no, I don't like that. Uh, Erin, I wanna go back to you. You talked about when you were really young and you lived in this house. How did it go from this experience and then you suddenly, many years later, became a paranormal investigator and started uh, this whole group of paranormal investigators? How did this all transpire?
Um, well, it was just like steps. It was just always in my life. Even a Ouija board. When I was a child, I was terrified of a Ouija board, and they were not a scary thing. They were portrayed as a game. There was nothing, there was no stigma to them at that point. And I'll never forget my sister and her friend had a Ouija board, and they were playing with this spirit that called himself Esau, and that he was from the Civil War, and he was 14 years old, I think was his age. And so he played on his heartstrings. Well, weird things started happening that you could explain away, but back to back, it's very awkward. Like the stove turning on by itself. Oh, yeah, it can, but not when the knob is turned. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I can understand electrical, but things like that would happen. And for some odd reason, in my mind, I refused to sleep in the house with that Ouija board in there. So my mother actually had to take it out of the house and put it in the trunk of the car in order for me to go to sleep. And that was when I was like 9.
Hmm.
You know, and so just things like that happen throughout my life, and you know, just with different experiences. And so when I realized that you could go on a ghost hunt, when you can go on an investigation,
Right.
the things you see on TV you can experience, I was hooked. And then I started working for a event company that no longer exists, but it was taking people to haunted places and letting them use your equipment and
Right.
teaching people, like the novices, what to do, how to respect, don't go, don't be rude, you know, things like that, you know, how to do it the correct way without offending the spirits. And I've been doing it ever since. So
So,
I'm hooked.
what about the paranormal attracts you? For me, um, I always find it interesting to not just experience the paranormal, but maybe just find some of the noises that aren't paranormal. Because when you remove all the elements that are not, what you're left with is concrete. So, what about the paranormal do you like?
Oh boy. Number one, I like trying to figure it out,
Right.
debunking, because I know they exist. I personally myself, I'm not trying to convince anybody else that they exist.
Sure.
That's your all's opinion, and out there in the world, everybody has their own opinion.
Hmm.
Me, I know I believe in them. I know they exist. So for me, it's more like I don't know. Debunking is very important, like you said, removing all aspects of doubt,
Right.
because that's what debunking is. It's not saying the door was open because the window downstairs was cracked and blah blah blah. It's something that, I don't know. It's very important to just remove all aspects. It's a possibility. So if there's a possibility, a logical possibility, you have to throw that evidence out. It might be the coolest piece of evidence, but you know, somebody might also have a stomach that's growling, and you can't tell the difference between the growl and a stomach sometimes.
Right.
So you have to throw that out, even though it sounds more diabolical and it sounds deeper, and you just, so that I've really learned to embrace that portion of it because of my other co-founder, because it's Audra and Dee and myself, we're co-founders of the team. And Audra really taught us that the aspect of debunking, the importance of it, instead of leading with emotions. Because when you lead, if you let your emotions be the engine of the train, it's going to go off the rails. You let your emotions be the caboose of the train, and you're going to be all right.
And I think that's what paranormal shows, how they fail is when you sensationalize everything, you have
Yes.
nothing, you know?
Yes.
But when
Yes.
you debunk things and every now and then you have something, I think that actually creates an atmosphere for excitement and for people to tune in to
Yeah.
see, is today the day instead of every day being something. Because when
Hmm.
every day is something, there's nothing.
Right. And they even went as, so I remember, let's see, Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters.
Yeah.
And Ghost Adventures was over sensationalizing everything. And
Is
then
that
Ghost
big enough at all is what we refer that to.
That's
Yeah.
what we
Right,
call it.
right,
Exactly.
right. And then you have the Ghost Hunters, and
Mhm.
they were underplaying everything.
Right.
There was an excuse for everything, so they were
Right.
overdoing that. I've never seen a show that's been that happy medium.
Mm.
Because it is kind of hard for the paranormal to be translated onto TV,
It is.
simply because you know as well as I know, there's so many times when you have to rely on your own laughter and goofiness because it's, for lack of better words, dead. It's just,
Yes.
yeah.
So
And
what I believe it is, I believe, and this is different for everybody, I believe the best paranormal equipment is actually the human body because
yes.
it's programmed into you already.
Yes.
We've been in places and we've had, our pods go off and all the lights are going but yet there's nothing there. And then
Right.
we've had times where nothing was lighting up, but yet we could feel the energy in the air. The difference is how do you explain that and how do you show that? And
Right.
um, I think that's what keeps most investigators coming back is to how do we explain or how do we show what we just felt and saw?
Right. That's true. And really, it's bridging the gap of communication between the living
That
and the
is
dead.
right.
Because there's obviously another side. What's it like? And I've always run into the question, if I ask them what's it like on the other side, their communication ceases with me at that point. And I don't know if it's like some kind of secret society that they have to, or if it's like wait and see, or if it's offensive to ask them that. I don't know. But it's
I
so
have a
cool to
theory,
be able
Erin,
to talk to
on that.
somebody who's dead.
Right.
You know?
Well,
How
I have a
bizarre.
theory on that, and it's not popular. In
Okay.
fact, it's usually what ends up getting us canceled. I believe I'm just saying. So what I believe is everything is faith, right?
Mhm.
And if you believe there's a heaven and earth or heaven and hell, the faith is you don't need evidence, you have faith for it. So everybody that I've talked to that always has had experience, but up to that point and nothing past that, to me, it's just they're not able to show you that because it would ruin your faith. You would have doubt if you actually wanted that. Um, at least through some conversations that I've had with people. I mean, it all depends on your beliefs.
That makes
And
sense. That
I'm
really
not
makes
saying
sense.
anybody has to believe the way I do. I mean,
No.
I'm half crazy. I admit that freely. You know, I do think that there's certain things that are not allowed to be said, because if we knew, then where would this discovery or faith be?
Right. I mean, that very well could be a huge possibility because I do every time I ask them what it's like on the other side, nothing. So I
Mhm.
just don't ask that question anymore because I've had a couple of investigations ruined from that because after that, all communication ceases. Nothing goes
Yeah.
off. There's no emotions. It's like they just vacate the property for a moment, you know?
What's your theory on that? Why do you think that they won't answer that?
I think because there's steps that we have to take after we pass away.
Evolution.
I think that it's almost like, and I'm a Christian, but I'm just saying, I feel like,
Well, you just got to cancel now, Aaron. How dare you?
oh God,
Yeah, you're
when?
canceled.
Oh no!
You said
But I
Christian.
mean, but I love everybody. I don't care who. I don't care if you're a Wiccan. I don't care if
Right.
you're into paganism. I don't care.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter to me. If you're a good person, you're a good person. It doesn't.
Right.
I don't
Absolutely.
care about that. Yeah. But I do think that there's steps, like you have to level up. And so I do have
Yep.
this theory that you have to figure it out on your own. I mean, you have people around you to help you and assist you and things after we pass on. But I think at the core of it, we're going to have to figure it out on our own. And so I think
Hmm.
that's kind of like trying to gain a cheat code when it's unattainable to gain. And so they're just like, no, I'm not even going to entertain this idea. And they'll just walk away.
I love that.
It's kind of like life, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
life in a way, because in life,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you have to figure it out on your own.
Right.
You can
Absolutely. You
have people
do.
on your side for sure, yeah, and
Yeah.
people that come in and out, but yeah, you got to figure it out.
You're walking your own
So
walk.
that's
Yeah.
well,
And so but I'm
yeah.
going to be really upset and really mad if I find out that you have to have a job in the afterlife. Do you know how mad I'm going to be at that? If there's like, yeah, you're going to be a property manager in the afterlife. What? Wait,
Yep.
excuse me.
I want to go back. Right.
Wait a second. Time out. This was not discussed.
What is the most haunted location that you were in that you weren't able to catch anything, but you knew that you were not alone in the location?
There's several,
Okay.
but the biggest one is the Ura Shrine in Bristol, Tennessee.
The
Mm,
what
The
kind?
yes,
Ura, URA, the
we
Ura
know
Shrine.
that one. Our
Yeah,
good friend Haley used to work there.
Oh.
yeah,
She's on my
yeah,
staff. Yes.
Oh
yes,
yeah. Yep.
yes. And so it's very the feeling you get when you cross over there, and I haven't been there for a while now, but when you cross over that threshold through the Torii Gate, it's electric. I mean, this place has haunted items. It has spirits can come and go, demons can come and go, everything can come and go as it pleases. It's kind of like a good place to communicate, and it's kind of a, it's gone private again, um, unfortunately, but that's one of the coolest places because you're not always going to catch the evidence, but you feel it,
Hmm.
100%. Have you been?
We
Not
have
yet.
not been.
It sounds like a
We'd love
great place,
to.
yeah.
Yes. You
It
guys
sounds
need to.
portable, actually.
Yeah, we can after this. Well, yeah, I'll talk to you guys about it because the owner's gone private, like I said, just for other reasons.
Mhm.
But it's a great
So
place and it's electric and it's so
that was
cool.
a place, though, that a lot of people that were maybe Wiccan or
Mhm.
Hmm.
practicing
Yes.
and do a lot of their practicing. So could it also be for electric because you have all of this energy and all of this, whatever they're trying to, I don't even know what the word would be, manifest,
Yeah.
or that's maybe not the word, but all of this is going on at the same time. So now they're actually making things at the same time.
Yeah. It's an interesting place. It's very very interesting how it works because you don't know who you're talking to from moment to moment. It's the coolest place I've ever been to. Yeah.
What were you able to catch in that location?
Say that again.
What were you able to catch in that location, or what kind of activity have you discovered in that location?
EVPs, a lot of EVPs, and there's a child. I've experienced a child there. There's a ghost cat, believe it or
There's a
not.
there's a ghost cat. Oh, I love that.
Yes, a ghost
Absolutely.
cat. Yes.
Right.
And I don't know. And like she said, it's all the energy that everybody brings in and all the practicing. It all like melds together in this beautiful melting pot of energy. I mean, that was a great way to explain it. It really does. And so EVPs is the most that I've captured there. We've taken some pictures with some shadows.
Mhm.
Um, we've had Sally the doll. She has an articulating arm and it can stay up for a month solid, just like this. And then you can ask it on command and it'll drop down. Very strange and random.
Right.
There's a doll Marcellus there that stinks like rotted. I don't know if I'm gonna watch my language. Rotten tail end.
Eggs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Rotten eggs. Yes.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
9, 10 o'clock at night, this doll starts reeking so bad. She's in a glass case, but if you open it up and you just let it open, you're just like, whoo, girl, go take a bath. But it's, just weird stuff like that.
So what I find interesting about that is we've came across a lot of haunted dolls. What is it about a doll that people that energy is attracted to? I mean, other than they're kind of creepy, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. Now I'm probably gonna get chastised for this. I don't really know if dolls can be haunted.
You're gonna get
Why
hate
would
mail.
they?
Hate
How?
mail. You're gonna
Yeah,
get hate mail. It's okay.
I probably will. I probably will for this. And I'm not saying they can't be. I'm not saying they cannot be haunted. I'm just saying I would have to experience it myself to fully accept that. I guess that's the correct way to put that. I'm
Well, I
not
like
saying it's not a possibility. I'm just saying why. Because how many times does a doll get shoved in a closet? Well, what's it going to do? What's its purpose at that point?
right.
If it's in the corner of the closet, in some kid's closet, it's not getting the reaction it wants. you know?
Right.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. No, that's very interesting. We come across a lot of people that where were we? We probably shouldn't say. We were at a place that this lady set up a stand with nothing but dolls, and one even had a price tag underneath it. But that's fine. And I always thought it was interesting. People. It was like a garage sale, price tag. But I always found it was interesting that people associate hauntedness with dolls. And I think when someone creates something like artistic, right? And you create a doll, and there's love that goes in there, or maybe you had a young child that made him the best friend. I think you can manifestate something. You can sit there and
Yeah.
manifest some kind of energy in it. But it seems like a lot of people are kind of fixated on dolls. I've seen dolls that
Yeah.
are creepy. I'm like, well, that's not cool. I wouldn't let that staring at me. But I've never met anything that I thought that was
Right.
really big. Even the Annabelle doll. And I don't know if we can say this. We actually met the guy that um, kind of worked with the Warrens, and he
Mhm.
referred to the doll as just a doll. It's just a
Well,
doll.
because I mean, the Warrens they garner a lot of attention, but the matter of
Yeah,
the fact with the Warrens, regardless of what you do or do not think they are, they shed light on the paranormal. They were the OGs.
sure. They were
They're
very
the
good
ones
showmen, and
that
there's nothing
were
wrong with that. There's
yeah.
nothing wrong with being a
Yeah,
showman.
so no matter what your opinion is of them, it doesn't matter because the
Right.
fact is they paved the way for all of us. That's
Absolutely,
really
they did.
special. That's really, really cool to be able to. I mean, can you imagine to be able to say I paved the way for whatever? That's
No, that's
really,
amazing.
It's
yeah, that's
cool.
really cool.
But at the same time, I guess you could say Houdini did by,
Yeah,
exposing people that said that they're mystics. So I mean, there's a lot of elements, and I think
yeah,
it's very fascinating because it's a uh, it's a study, if you will, that
yeah.
has gone back in ages. The witch trials, right? I mean, hocus pocus, all of a sudden they burn you, but not really because you
Right.
didn't do anything wrong. So it's something that I think that has always attracted people, yet scared people at
Mhm.
the same time.
I think you're right, and it's sensationalized.
Absolutely, it is.
And so it gains popularity.
Sure,
Absolutely, it does. I'm not saying. I mean, a doll might get possessed, like you said. It could have been
absolutely.
that. kind of like the Velveteen Rabbit, almost the story of the Velveteen Rabbit and the child who was so sick, and they were going to burn the rabbit because the rabbit,
Yep.
she the baby rabbit or the stuffed animal,
Mhm.
and it became alive because all this love went into it. It could be like that. It could be that you manifest something. Because there is that theory to where if something's not haunted, if somebody comes into a brand new building, brand new piece of land, whatever, no tragic nothing happened, and they can go on there and they can keep repeating the same story, and other people come in on that fold and start feeding into that story, that it can materialize something that never existed. I think
Well,
that's really interesting.
absolutely. Well, all these, so not every place is haunted. And there is haunted stuff in there because we wouldn't be doing what we did if there really was, nothing there. But
Right.
what's something that Raven and I found, and this is different for everybody, this is just our experience, that stepping into the paranormal field, going to all these little things that they have, to me, it's a big money grab when it comes to going to and that's not very popular, by the way. I'm sure Raven will get a bunch of hate mail, and it's fine. She just forwards it to me. But I mean,
Look forward
it,
to it.
You can handle it.
yeah,
Yeah.
to me, it is a money grab because then again, people say, well, you know how expensive it is to run these places, and I said, well, then it is a money grab, but that's fine. Come, and there's nothing wrong with
If
everybody
the money goes back
enjoy.
into the building.
Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with being afraid. It's fun. When we were children, we'd watch horror movies for that. So by doing that, but then again, representing something that isn't, just to manifest cash is, I mean, it's
Yeah.
American dream. But I do think that, we've been in locations that, some very popular that everybody knows the names of them. We went to these places and, I don't think inherently they were haunted. I do think people coming in and doing whatever they are to try to spark some interest and,
Yeah.
kind of manifesting
Hmm.
energy there, and some of it's bad. And I think that's what people are discovering as they're going into these places.
Yeah, yeah. And people can do things like Ouija board. They can open portals. They can,
Right.
whatever. They can bring something in there that shouldn't be in there.
So
And
I'm not a big Ouija board. That actually scares me. I don't like Ouija board. And as a grown man, I understand it sounds weird. I'm scared of Ouija board. I
yeah,
just think that you're allowing something in. So to me, it's just a no go. But I think it's interesting that people do like that because you do get a something does come from it. So I think that's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. It does. It really does. It's insane. There's so much out there that we don't understand and we do not know, and there's no proof of, but is legitimate. I just know it. I don't
Right.
know. That's just my take on things. That there's so many different, because we only use what, how much of our brain, like, I don't. There's a specific
25% or
percentage.
something. It's
Well,
I don't know.
in
It's not
today's
very much.
society, I'm going to go with 1%.
Yeah, I said like 17% or 27% or something like
Right,
that.
right, right, right,
The
Yeah, it
rest
depends
of
on the
our
day,
brain,
you know.
we haven't unlocked. Yeah, we haven't
right,
unlocked it. And so
right.
imagine being us now and having all these amazing capabilities and then being free of our bodies.
Right.
Because energy cannot be destroyed, it just
No,
transfers.
absolutely, it does.
Right. So whether you believe that you are cosmic dust or a soul or anything, the
Right.
fact of the matter is you are.
That's
You
right.
are. So you cannot be destroyed. I mean, that's a really, I think it's a really enlightening thing to look at when you're looking at the future and death and things of that nature. It's not the end, it's actually the beginning.
Shedding the meat suit definitely is the beginning. It's beginning
Yes.
something different.
Yeah.
And I agree. I do think that there are. We've met people that are able to tap into things that
Hmm.
is understandable, and
Hmm.
I think it's great that people are able to conjure that.
Hmm.
I've met people that were claimed to were able to reach all kinds of stuff, and I
Yeah.
wasn't quite sure they knew how to make cereal. So you know,
Yeah. Everybody has a gift.
yeah,
And everybody has a gift.
right.
Everybody can do it. It doesn't, you might not tap into it, you may not understand it, you might reject it, but it's there. Everybody's born with a gift.
Absolutely, and it's discovering that gift. And I think
Yes.
people like you and me, my experience happened when I was very young, and that's what intrigued me in the paranormal.
Hmm.
Raven chases I
Mm.
try to avoid, right? I mean, Raven is direct is
Right.
attracted to this thing. It's
Yes.
something that's always been for me. So
Yeah.
it's always been there. So
Mm-hmm. It's
right,
it.
right,
Basement, like I just go to basements. I just
yeah,
wander
I'm going to
off
basement.
by my
Yeah. No
into a
light,
basement.
flashlight off. Yeah.
No light.
right.
No. In
Yeah.
fact, I will tell you. I will tell you a quick story. We were at the St. Joseph Hospital, which is now a museum
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
in St. Joseph, Missouri, and it was a good friend, the OG Dave, and myself, and the two of them went off together down a dark, dark tunnel with a flashlight. And I was like, okay, I'm going in this direction. And I went off all by myself.
Oh
I
my
don't even
God.
think I had a legit flashlight. Like, I just was like,
No,
oh,
you're just
no.
raw dogging it in the dark. You're just going
That's
for it,
right.
right? I do the
Right.
same
And then,
thing. Just pray that there's no like tricycles or anything in the hallway, you know. But it's
So
okay.
right?
I'm
No
different.
tricycles. No,
Yeah, I'm
no
different. I walk around
twins
these
riding your.
places.
Right.
I walk around these places looking for germs. I'm like, I wonder how often they clean this thing. You know. So I'm completely
Oh,
different. Yeah.
we have a talk about so Audra and I on the team, we've talked about this many, many times about how it drives us nuts. And this isn't a bad thing, but it drives me nuts when people come in after people after people after people and they don't clean the location in between.
Yeah.
Mm, mhm.
Oh, it drives me nuts. I mean, it's like you could sleep a little bit. Not that I'm scared of dirt. I'll be
Right.
dirty. That's okay. It's no big deal. But if it can be avoided, and it's like showing the location a little bit of respect as well.
Right. Well,
Right,
we
right.
are all about going to locations about history. I think history
Yes.
is something definitely to be preserved. Um, but I've been in places, especially Missouri, that decorate the house, a beautiful house, very historic, but decorate with dolls and just kind of
Yeah.
cheaply paranormal stuff. And to me, that's kind of a put off because
Yeah.
if it's a haunted location, let it be.
Just let it
Let
be.
people come in and enjoy the environment by adding things and stuff. I think it kind of spoils the fun because it makes the real more unreal.
I'm not going to use the location. I'm just going to tell the story. But
Yeah.
there's a location where there are dummies. Um, there are dummies out to where it represents the death that happened in this room or the
Yep.
death that happened on this couch or
Right.
something like that.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And the spirits, we actually got into a conversation with one of the spirits through the dead bell, through confirmation of one ring for yes, two for no. And we were
Right.
asking the spirit if they were offended that this hokiness was going on, and they were.
Mm.
Because
Sure.
for them, it's the representation of their death. And I know that the people who run it, I mean, we told them, we were like, hey, listen, just giving you a heads up, the spirits really don't like this, that their death is represented, and I don't think they like that either. That's really disrespectful, to get cheap, tawdy decorations to zhuzh it up a little bit for the public,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, like you said, if it's haunted, it's haunted. Let
Yeah.
it be. Just let it be in its own glory.
No, absolutely, and I agree with you. And some of the places we've been to that looked like grandma's house, it was enjoyable because they didn't try to oversell it. They just allowed you to experience what you experience. I
Yeah.
mean, the tales are the tales, right? And
Yes.
I think those places are a little bit more organic, and I enjoy those places more than people that try to dress it up in a certain
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
are misrepresent places. And I'm all for making a dollar. I mean, it's capitalism,
Yeah.
my society. I love it.
Yeah.
But if you have a very good
Free
historic
enterprise.
location, let it be historic. Let
Yeah.
history tell the story. You don't have to
Yes.
sensationalize something that's not there.
Yes. I
No.
could not agree more. I mean, seriously, because the history itself is so cool. The Balladary Inn in Pennsylvania. There in one of the dining rooms, there's blood stains on the ground, and it's real blood stains from a
Love it.
real soldier getting his arm or leg or something amputated.
Wow.
I don't
And
like
there's
that.
a bloody
Doesn't sound fun.
footprint. There is an actual bloody footprint that's
Wow.
soaked into the wood. That is awesome. That's history. That's real. You can put your hands on that. You're feeling a piece of history.
Right.
That's so tangible. So yeah, I agree. The whole hokiness, although for $1 and much understood, it's just kind of like a big turn off.
Yeah.
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 It is, but
Yeah.
and that's what I like about the paranormal as well is
Mhm.
it's fascinating how people represent things.
Oh yeah.
We've been to locations that we're supposed to have a history, and there is no history if you look into the history. And then we've
Right.
been places that didn't really explain the whole history, but naturally it lets you discover that. And I always
Mhm.
like those places as well.
Yeah, yeah, I do too. That's more
And I'm
of my
trying to stay away from names too. Did you notice that? I'm trying to do it without, offending too many people. So I love that.
You're
right.
doing
Yeah,
a
trying
great
to
job.
not. Yeah, yeah. Hey, everybody's got an opinion.
Yeah.
Some of the places people may know, but you're doing great. You're doing great.
Well,
Well done.
so what is the most active place you've been to that you actually were able to record evidence in that you actually have, and you're like, man, look at this. This is what I got.
Gosh, we're going to so many different places, and we've been to so many different places. The one place that always sticks in my mind, and it was the second place I ever investigated, and then it kind of became home sweet home, was Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. That place, even from when Stacey Hayes managed it, when the doctor owned it, and then when it was sold and Ronnie D purchased it. Those are two very stark times. One was very dark because anything was allowed. Stacey Hayes she was a very nice person. But, as far as her trust, she was very trusting of everybody. She had a big heart. So people would come in and do stuff they shouldn't be doing.
Right.
And it caused a lot of darkness. And then Ronnie D purchases it. He cleans it up. He has volunteers that come clean this place up. I mean, it's like a brand new place almost. He's getting ready to put a new roof on there soon. I mean, he really pours everything he has back into this building to make a difference. So the stark difference between the darkness and then the light, the energy that he brought in, it never disappoints for me. Every time I go, I always have some sort of paranormal experience. Because when you think about it on these TV shows, they're at these locations for a week,
Right.
3 to 7 days, and they wear the same clothes every single time to shoot this episode so they can come up with 30 minutes to an hour worth of
Sure.
maybe something.
Right.
Yeah.
Where, you can go to places like South Pittsburgh Hospital. Missouri State Penitentiary is another one. I love Missouri State Penitentiary. It is epic. These type of places you go to, I mean, it's just filled. It's like a playground of the dead, and it's so fun because there's never, because you can get a bunch of activity and you can have all this proof that it happened, and it's more than an hour's worth. You know what I mean? And you were there for a few hours.
Right.
So, yeah. South Pittsburgh.
It's been
I was
kind of my. Oh, go ahead, Raven. Go ahead.
Well, I was curious. What do you think is something that you've taken away, like learned by doing this kind of work? What is something that would be one of the biggest things that you've learned?
In the paranormal field,
Oh yeah.
I would say patience. And
Oh.
patience, and there's a lot of times that you're going to question yourself, why the hell am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Why? Because I've gone to 3 different places. Have I lost my touch? Have I lost that connection with the dead? So you're constantly self-doubting almost. And it's stages. We go through stages because when you first start out, it's like you want to document everything. You want every ounce of that investigation on camera, on recording. You're going to spend double the time of the investigation looking into what you got, and you're into it. And then you go through this phase, or at least I went through this phase to where it's like, I just want to experience it. Who am I proving this to? And then I hit this stage where it was like, why am I doing this? This does not make sense. I'm taking time off of work to sit in a dirty building in the dark, not having a good time. Sometimes it might be boring so it's patience. You have to have patience. You have to be open to the idea that it ebbs and flows and that the paranormal is a crapshoot. You don't know what you're going to get. they're not circus animals, and I've never thought they've been circus animals by any means. But as far as from investigation standpoint, just patience. You've got to be open to things and go into every investigation like it was your first. And that is the hardest thing to learn how to do because you become jaded. I mean, think about it. The first time you ever saw a cat ball go off, it was like, holy smokes, that cat ball just went off. That's so cool. And then a few times down the road, you're like, okay, good. Can you do it again? And your whole perspective changes. And
Right.
so you go through this ebb and flow of, I don't want to call it self-doubt, but just, not understanding why you're even there. So just,
Right.
you have to be patient and persevere and push through it if you're really wanting to make this a lifelong thing for yourself.
Sure.
I agree.
That's a great answer.
It most certainly is. Do you think the paranormal and aliens and cryptozoology, do you think they all fall underneath the same category, or do you think they're different?
I think that's a tricky question
Isn't
because
it?
part of me thinks that, cryptids, spirits can be from here. Spirits can be
Absolutely.
Aunt
Absolutely.
Sally or Uncle Joe or whatever.
Right.
So they can be from here. A cryptid, is it something to where its timelines are merging for a moment? Is Bigfoot prevalent where his timeline is? And he can kind of, oops, trip into ours. And then somebody
He
spots
just
him.
trips.
And then, yeah, they spot him and then boom, he's gone and it makes no sense. Or whatever, the Mothman or whatever. I mean, could it be that there's timelines that intertwine and that's when they show up and that's when we show up on theirs? I don't know, but I do think there is some of a difference because of that. But I also believe in elementals, and I don't know what they fall into because there's something that never was and always has been. It's though that gets me too, but I don't know. I guess if you had to have a definitive answer for me, I would say they're different, much different from each
I
other.
was waiting for that question. He likes
Uh,
to.
I
There
I
is a connection of some sort, though.
I do think that like Bigfoot and those kind of creatures, I do think that they are time slips.
Mhm.
They somehow are on a different plane and
Yeah.
whatever adds up because then all of a sudden there it is, and all of a sudden there's not. I also think that it's very possible in um, American Indian folklore, Wendigos and
Mhm.
shapeshifters, that kind of thing, right? So it's very possible that it is one thing shifting into different things.
Yes.
Keep his identity or whatever. I'm all for that. We
Mhm.
do know that Native American were very in tune to environment and very spiritual. So I do think
Very
there are like Wendigo was conjured, right?
much.
And I do think that it could very well be the same with a shapeshifter or other elements like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you ever seen the movie The Others?
I
I do
have,
care.
I
yes.
love that movie.
I
Just
haven't
that
seen it in a
theory
long
alone
time.
is,
Yes.
yeah, isn't it the best?
Oh, it's good. It's good. It's that
It
M.
is.
Night Shyamalan twist we all love,
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, the others, yeah. So
yeah,
have you in your investigations, what location have you been at that you expected to be more and it just wasn't any?
Oh,
And what do you think caused
oh,
that?
oh, no.
well, I think as far as locations go, I think there is such a thing as over investigating.
Oh,
I
sure.
think those places
Mm.
that have like it's like constantly busy, very, very popular. And I don't want to use any names because I don't want to offend, but it could be that they just get over investigated and so they're tired because you're in their home. No matter if it's a house or a building or whatever, it doesn't have to be a house, like, typical house, but I think they get tired and they're just like, man, I can only tell you how many times my name is Erin. I'm Erin, and they've already gone through the phase of being like, yeah, I'm Larry, it's because,
Right.
they might do that. If you had a sense of humor in life, you have one in death too, right? At least I do.
I hope so.
So, yeah, so I think they are just like, man, I'm done with this. I don't want to talk to you today. And I think that can be a big thing over investigating.
Right.
But it does happen. It has happened. And I think that's always in the back of my mind. So it's always like, what questions can I ask that are off the cuff, that are different, that are intriguing for the spirit as well? Because you can only ask about, okay, for instance, we went to the Blue Ball Inn. No, Cabin on 360. I'm sorry, it's Cabin on 360. And it's a cabin in a house. And this little girl named Melissa, she was assaulted in a specific manner by her stepbrother, her half brother. And then he murdered her. And
Oh,
yeah, and so, we were thinking, she's 12. This little 12-year-old does not want to talk about her death. She doesn't want to talk about what happened to her. So we took it upon ourselves to have a slumber party. And so we were talking about how rude this teacher was. And did you see Billy passing a note to Susie? And, are we going to get in trouble if we go in the kitchen and grab a soda? Or, we were just asking questions and we actually got answers. She named a club. She named a club that we were in called the Care Bears Kid Club. She wants her jacket to be purple. She likes Funshine Bear. I mean, all these things came up, and it was amazing. It was amazing because we focused on the good stuff, right? We didn't.
yeah.
So that's what I mean by coming up with ideas like, how can I garner the attention of this spirit? How can I get this spirit interested in talking to me? Because sometimes people get carried away and just think they're automatic, and it's almost just like a game to them to get a spirit to answer back.
Mhm.
And if you approach it as you're actually having a conversation with somebody. So don't be like Joe Blow and ask the same old questions. Be inventive with your questions. Think outside the box. Do a little prep work before, even if you're medium, even if you're whatever your ability is, it doesn't matter. Think outside the box, do a little bit of research before you go to the investigation so you can prep yourself for these questions. You're going to see that the investigation goes a whole lot smoother that way.
So you believe you get what you put in. You
Yes.
put in good positive energy, you'll get energy back.
Yes, I was talking to an old coworker in the paranormal field, Beth Moore, and we were talking about this, about how spirits. She has been in communication with a spirit who we knew when she was alive, and it was a dear friend of ours. And she came to her and was talking to her and said, "Listen, we can see your colors. Not if you're black, if you're white, if nothing like that. Your aura. They can see your energy. So if you come into an investigation worried about what happened in the day, somebody cut you off in traffic, your boss got mad at you at work, you're worried about mom or whoever, and you come into an investigation and you're a little bit clouded, you're dulling your light." And so that's why you have to come into these investigations, in my experience and in my opinion. Leave everything outside. Leave all of that outside, even if you have to do just a little bit of meditation, because you're going to find out that you get more activity when you put more into it, you get more out of it.
I actually really like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I do too. That's very interesting. So you're saying that the spirit was saying that they can see our auras.
Yes. Yes, and that we have
That's
our own
super
colors, and it's not a color like we're used to seeing on our plane. It's different. But everybody has their own. Nobody's the same. And so if you have this beautiful aura about you, you're going to want to shine as bright as you can to get their attention, for them to be interested in talking to you, because if you come in with a black cloud over your head, they're not going to be interested in talking to you, because why
That
would
is
you? You know what I mean?
that's super interesting. Like you're like, okay, that guy's a jerk. I'm gonna go this direction.
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Wow, that is really interesting. That is a
Yeah.
wonderful.
When Beth told me that, when we were discussing that, it blew my mind. I was like, she put into words what I was feeling, and I couldn't believe it. It was beautiful. It was one of the best conversations I've ever had in my life.
So
Which
basically, like if you're on a team, like, but if you're on a team and somebody in that group has a really bad aura, like you're
Hmm.
because you're with this team. That's
Yep.
very interesting.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
like, I'm gonna
I'm
go
just.
over here. Why don't you go over
Mm-hmm.
there?
Yeah, you
I'm
go
gonna
there. I gotta do
do
stuff
my
over
journey on my
here.
own.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And I'll be
right.
like, this way, guys.
What do you
Yeah.
do in situations that for the opposite effect, where you have a bright light and there's something trying to take that bright from you?
Ooh,
Have
good
you ever had
question.
those situations?
Yeah, it's usually something darker that you come up against. It could be
Hmm.
something demonic. I don't. There's so many different levels of demons, and not that once again, no hate mail. Not all demons are bad demons. I mean, there's a stigma on things that shouldn't. We don't have a full understanding of everything. So, but I know. So that's probably a very unpopular idea. But um, usually, when I come up against something dark like that, it does try to maybe not steal my light, but dull my light, to shut me down, to make me stagnant. And it can reach far and beyond that investigation. So it can, I've
Sure.
experienced it like years after something, and something affecting my life for years. So that in effect, it tried to dull my light in my everyday life, at work, my personal relationships. It was very difficult to maneuver through that.
We've been to
I
places
would.
that we actually had dreams of before we got there, and it stayed well after. We had dreams of. I know personally, I had dreams, and we were in a group of five, and me, Raven, and the other gentleman that was with us, Dave. OG, he had dreams like I did, where we would dream about the place we were in. In fact, I was waking up in the same standing position or sitting position that I was in when I was there. So there
Right.
are things that follow you through, but to me, I didn't know if it was calling me back or if it was warning me. One of the two.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really hard to decipher, isn't it? If
It
if
is.
it is it a warning, or is it letting you know? I have some friends, so I have friends that I have this deep vein connection with, and it's like an ethereal connection that I can't explain it. But there are times that I'll have a dream and somebody will call me up and say, did you happen to have a dream last night? Yes. Do you want to know about it? Yes. And I'll tell them the dream, and they're like, oh my God, it's crazy. I mean, that happens all the time. And so is it a warning, like you said, or is someplace calling you back? And
Right.
that's one of those chances that you just kind of have to like throw a dart and guess, right? Hope for the
Yeah.
best. Yeah.
So you said that, and I'm going to circle back to what you said about being like having this thing or was kind of with you for a while. How did
Mhm.
you eventually get past that?
He
How did you get that out of the situation?
Yeah, he outwore his welcome. It became almost comical after a few years. At first, it was terrifying, and it
Hmm.
it literally, I was terrified in my own home. And after a while, it wore its welcome. It wasn't scary anymore. And I was like, what are you actually trying to do? There's no rhyme or reason. Why are you choosing me? Why are you picking on me? This
Hmm.
makes no sense. What are you gonna do? You're not hurting me. I mean, you're making me trip up in my own life. So I think I quit giving it the recognition. I quit giving it the power, the fear. And every once in a while, he'll still pop up.
Hmm.
Beside my bed, watching me sleep, he'll pop up at a location. But it's like, pff, nice try, next. That's literally how I handled it. Just that simple. It's crazy, and it worked. I mean, it works because it got to the point, it was just tiresome because it was the same song and dance over and over and over.
Sure.
So I was just like, go find
But
somebody else to play with.
you
So
just stopped giving him your energy. Is
Yeah,
what it was.
that's
Stopped. Yeah,
exactly.
because when they say when you think about something a lot, you're actually even putting energy into that thing
Yeah,
without even knowing that you're doing that. So just
absolutely.
out skis. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, done.
was that the scariest location you've been in that you attracted that kind of energy?
Oh, this is going to sound very odd. There was a location, it was a conjuring house. This is when the first couple that bought it, Corey, I think is his name, when they owned it. It's not the Riviera lady, it was them that owned it. And I went in, and I really wasn't thinking much of it. I thought, you know, it's the Conjuring house, it's over sensationalized. I just went in thinking that, but I was so sorely disappointed when I was wrong because it really threw me for a loop. And it was scary in a subtle way. I can see how the mom would feel like she was going crazy because something would touch my shoulder and then it would tap my elbow and then it would tap my wrist and then it would do it over and over and over and over. And then it started sliding down my arm, sliding down to my wrist. And it was very subtle, but it was terrifying because there was no reason for that to be happening to me at all. There was no spider webs. There was no, I was wearing a t-shirt. I could not debunk anything. It was legitimate. And I was just about to go nuts by the end of the night because I was just like, would you please get off of me? Just leave me alone. Okay, I get it. You're here. I want to talk to the other spirits. Can you walk away from me and just stand back for a minute? And that got me. And I don't know why, because I mean, I've seen full-bodied apparitions. I've seen crawlers on ceilings and walls. And usually you would think that that's something that I would be like, what? You know, but no, it was the subtle, quiet, I'm going to affect you, but nobody's going to be able to see it. Nobody's possibly going to even believe you. You know what I mean? To where it was all very a personal effect, and that was terrifying.
So mental, it affected you mentally.
Yeah,
How was
yeah,
that? Sure.
yes.
And you said you've seen crawlers. Can you talk about that? I've never seen one, only in movies, and I would only imagine it'd be terrifying. So, can you tell us a little bit about your experience when you seen the crawlers?
Yeah, yeah. They crawl on the walls and the ceilings, legitimately. There was one. I was with a friend, Ashley, and I was talking to her, and I said, "Listen, this place has crawlers," and she was like, "Yeah, right." I said, "No, really. They crawl around on the floor, walls, and ceilings. So if you see one, just don't be taken back. Like, don't gasp and run. Just embrace it. Just watch it. You know." Because in my experience, they haven't been, they're curious, whatever they are, or whoever they are. They're just very curious. And so they're not going to like jump off the wall and onto your back and like, you know, nothing like that. They're curious and they like watching you. So they're creeper crawlers, right? And she was like, whatever. So we're walking down the hallway and she sees somebody on their hands and knees crawling. And she was like, "Hey, are you okay?" And she walks up to him and she goes to put her hand on their back and they disappear. And she lost her cookies. It was great. I've never seen her run that fast in my life.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're just curious. I mean, once I got over the initial shock and awe of seeing them, because it is very alarming when you see them, because it's not natural. It's supernatural.
Right.
So when you see that happen, you know, after you acclimate to it, then you realize, okay, they've never come after me. They're just curious and they're just watching. So that's a really cool thing to experience.
Would that be your most terrifying place you've ever been in, or has there been something that even tops that kind of stays with you? You're like, I will never go back to this place because
Yes.
because of lasting impressions left.
Yeah, I lived in a house when I was married, and our son was 6 months old. And my husband at the time was on third shift and I was on first shift, so we didn't really see each other much. And things started happening at this house, and it was just very strange. Like my son would like be in his high chair holding somebody's hand talking to somebody, and there's nobody next to him, or you hear like running behind you, like boom, 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 boom. And there's a couple of experiences that made me say, we need to leave this house now. It's too much. Was when I was going into the bathroom to go get him some medicine. He wasn't feeling good, my husband. And I go into the bathroom, and from the bathroom, when you turn to walk out, you can see the kitchen, and it has this giant picture window. And I saw the picture window, and there was a security light that shone in, right? So it would light up the whole kitchen. Well, there was a man standing in the kitchen, a full-bodied, like 6'4" man standing in the kitchen, and I froze, and I was just like, okay, I don't know who you are. I'm not trying to hurt anything. I'm just getting medicine for my husband. And I shut the bathroom door, opened the bathroom door, be like, you know, okay, he's gone. No, he was still there. And I was like, okay, so I did one of these numbers and I picked up the NyQuil or whatever it was, and I walked out of the bathroom and just gave him the medicine. Well, then a few weeks later, I was in bed and there he stood beside the bed. Now, it was a house, but it was set up like a trailer, right? It's like
Mhm.
long.
Mhm.
Okay, so my husband was standing at the closet and he was just watching me sleep. And I woke up and I was like, hey, are you okay? And he didn't say anything. He's just staring at me. So I sit up. I'm fully awake, not a doubt in my mind. And I said, Danny, are you okay? Nothing. So I was irritated because I was like, what are you playing at? This is not funny. I was sleeping. Don't freak me out like that. That's rude. So I stand up and I go to put my hands on his chest and he disappeared. Flat out disappeared. So I take off, run into the hallway. I go down into the living room and there's where he is. And he was watching Motley Crue on the David Letterman show. I'll never forget that because we were getting ready to go to a Motley Crue concert in like a week or two. So he was really excited to see this. And I dropped to my knees and I was just like, I just saw I couldn't catch my breath. I was terrified. He thought somebody had broken in the house.
Oh,
So he was
sure.
peering through the house thinking someone's there. He comes back and he's like, nobody's here. And I said, it was you. You were in there. He said, I've been here the whole time. So this thing started showing up as me and it started showing up as him. Our son
Oh.
started not sleeping well at night. And so
A mimic.
it was terrifying.
Mhm.
Terrifying. Music would play and it would be like old music and you couldn't pinpoint where it was coming from in the house. Very strange to where, I'd be like, okay, this has got to be, because this is when, mind you, long time ago, this is when there was a phone on the wall that
Mm.
like this.
Yeah.
It's a long cord. You remember that? So that was
Uh-huh.
it was yes. And so I'd pick up the phone and I'd be like, maybe it's coming through the phone. I don't know. It wasn't coming through the phone. It was just very strange. And I always thought I had the feeling of being, when you were a kid and you were scared, if you were alone and you were scared and you had to go to the bathroom, so you would like make a mad dash to the bathroom and then you make
Yes.
a mad dash back to the bed. That's what it felt like all the time, fight or flight, 100% of the
Wow.
time. And it was a terrible feeling. It was a terrible, that place could burn to the ground and I would be like, bravo. Yeah.
So, what do you think the mimic was, or why do you think that it was there?
I don't know. I know that the owners of that house, that the husband had died, and he was in a wheelchair. He was a very tall man, mind you, 6'4", very tall man, and he wound up in a wheelchair, and he wound up with either dementia or Alzheimer's. It started off with sundowners, and so he'd get very confused. So they had to switch doors, like they had to flip doors around to make sure the locks were on the outside, which we always thought was weird, but we got this information from the owner's child who
Mhm.
told us this. And then the neighbor also told us this is what happened. So, but I don't know why they would mimic, because the wife was very nice. She would give hugs. She was very comforting. He was not. He was very angry, very demanding, very domineering.
Mm.
So I don't know. I don't know which one of them. I could only assume it was him that
Right.
was mimicking, but I don't know why. But that right there was terrifying, because seeing somebody in the flesh and blood in front of you and then just dissipating into thin air is very alarming. It's very scary.
And I think if I can build upon that, I think something that is consciously aware of what what is a part of you, your husband, right? That can read your mind and mimic
Yes.
that. I think that to me that's really scary. In fact, I've had a similar experience where I think I told a couple months ago I was in South St. Paul living with a girlfriend in an apartment, and I saw this mist. I was sick, so I was laying on the couch, and she went to go get me some medication, and I seen this mist form, and then when you're tired, you close your eyes. You sleep for an hour. It feels like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And I opened my eyes, and there she was standing in front of me. And what startled me about it is I stood up. All right, I stood up quickly because the face was different, and when she smiled, it scared me because it was a very unnatural smile, like it didn't know how to do it. And then once I got up from the couch and I stared at it, all of a sudden it made this smile, and it just dissipated back into a fog.
Oh,
And, and what scared me about that is for it to mimic that, it first challenged me when I was, vulnerable. I was sick, and how long was it staring at me before I
mhm.
actually woke up?
Oh,
And that
wow.
frightens me, right? Because
Yeah.
when you're sleeping, when someone's watching you sleep, you're very vulnerable. Or
Yeah,
when you're
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 most
in the
sick, you're
most
very
vulnerable.
vulnerable state. Yeah.
so, yeah,
Yeah.
so to me, I mean that shows intelligence because it's actually using elements against you, are your own elements. It's like your memories or shapes that
Yeah.
that that kind of thing.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
terrifying.
wild.
It is.
It's thinking of something watching you sleeping in your
Yeah,
most vulnerable moment is
right,
very just not okay.
Not
It's like I value
okay.
my sleep, right? I'm
right.
sure you guys do too.
Oh,
You would
It's,
100%.
yeah,
sure.
I mean, I need my sleep. I'd
You've
like
been
9 hours a night if I could, but it doesn't always work that way.
you've been so
No.
interesting. How do people find you,
Or
Aaron? If people wanted to look you up or find out more about you, where do they find you at?
Facebook is the easiest place.
Okay.
Facebook, Erin Hale. And then we also have our own Facebook page, Tennessee Shadow Chasers. You can look us up. We love to collaborate with people. We love to, because our team doesn't always, our schedules don't always match up. So, some people can't get time off or they have a family vacation or
Right.
something else going on that takes precedence, which is completely understandable.
Uh-huh.
So we like to also kind of branch out and just collab with people, you know?
That's
Okay, well, I'm
fantastic.
on my way. I will sometime. It takes me about 14 hours probably to get there. So,
Oh,
don't wait up tonight, but I'll be there.
okay. Because you'll love it. 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 Tennessee is such
100%.
a
I
special place.
know
Well,
we
Raven,
love
your
Tennessee.
your audio's a little choppy, but is there anything that do we have anything exciting going on soon, or we just continue doing the norm? Anything new with us?
Well, we do have something exciting going on. Actually, next month we will be headed to the Red River Gorge Bigfoot Festival.
Oh,
I'm saying that right or not, but Stanton, Kentucky.
yes.
Super excited for that. And then on that note, I don't want to. Gabriel always does what's going on, and then I'm like, well, I don't want to share everything, but we do have some special stuff coming up um, off of that trip, headed out to West Virginia as well to check out some really cool places that we will have to when we announce that. But
So we will
that's next
actually be
month.
doing
Okay, yeah.
some live investigations, and so our fans can sit there and watch it live. And with that, and just like that, we've reached the end of another conversation. Today's story, like so many before, leaves us with more questions than answers. And maybe that's the point, because the unknown isn't something to fear; it's something to respect. We want to thank our guest, Erin. Thank you so much for being here, for sharing her experiences, her insight, and her time with us tonight. And again, thank you, Unbox Media LLC, for continuing to bring these conversations to life, and Shaker's Cigar Bar in Milwaukee for their continued support. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, be sure to follow us at darkwoods.paranormal.com and join us live every Thursday and Sunday at 7 o'clock Central. Until next time, stay curious, stay aware, and do stay safe out there. I'm Gabriel Von Graves. Erin, if you wouldn't mind just hanging out a little bit after the show, I'd appreciate it. Thank you
Yes.
for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.